Welcome to the weekly Health RX by Arvasi. I'm Dr. Avanti Kumar Singh.
And I'm Dr. Tanmeet Sethi. We're physicians trained in modern medicine and experts in Ayurveda. And each Sunday, we cut through the noise with physician-led, science-backed prescriptions personalized to your biology.
From your hormones and gut to your circadian rhythm and nervous system, we'll help you take care of the systems that matter most so you can stop guessing and start feeling better. Finally, medicine that fits you. Hello and welcome. This is your weekly Health RX for the week of February 1st. I'm Dr. Avanti Kumar Singh.
And I'm Dr. Tanmeet Sethi. And it's week 3 of our energy series. Today, we're talking about something everyone's curious about. You know, creatine is having a moment, Avanti.
That
Seriously.
it is. Mm-hmm.
Here's the challenge, really. Most of what you're hearing, the dosing, the protocols, the promises, they were studied in 20-year-old male athletes, young men with testosterone levels different from yours, and young men whose bodies were completely different than ours. So today we're cutting through all that noise and seeing what the actual research means for you, a woman in hormonal transition. And more importantly, how do you know if it's right for your body? Because that answer is different for everyone.
Yeah, and that's really important to think about, right? And so let's start with the basics. So creatine is an amino acid that your body actually makes naturally. And the majority of it is stored in your muscles, about 95%. The other 5%, that's actually in your brain. Now, this is really important because it does affect your brain. The primary function of creatine is to help regenerate ATP, which is your energy source, right? Remember those power plants that we talked about in week 1 and even week 2 last week, your mitochondria? Well, creatine is like a rapid fuel source for those power plants. It helps them to actually charge up faster, okay? And you can think of it sort of like a charging station, right? Your cells use energy, and creatine actually helps to recharge them. And so that's really important to remember. Now, your body's ability to make creatine is affected by estrogen. And remember that research we were saying that was only in young men? Well, men also have estrogen. Now, as women's estrogen declines in midlife, right, your creatine production will also be affected. It'll actually start to decrease as well because you don't have the estrogen that is affecting it. So women really have this disadvantage, right? We have a 70 to 80% lower baseline creatine than men. That's 70 to 80%. That's a lot. And so when someone just tells you, just take creatine, like anybody should or men do, they're actually ignoring this really, really important piece of biology, which is the effect of estrogen on creatine.
Right, exactly. So let's talk about what the science actually shows. And really, we have to be clear that this is emerging research, right? I mean, we're not talking decades of data, but what we have is promising, in terms of newer data that's more fit for our biology. So in 2025, the Concrete Menopausal study was the first randomized controlled trial specifically in perimenopausal women. And in this very small sample size, 36 women, but it's really helpful to see what happened. They had 8 weeks of creatine supplementation, and the results were pretty impressive. 12% faster reaction rate, 16% increase in brain creatine levels, better mood, better lipid profiles. And that brain creatine piece is important. So remember, Avanti said 5% of your creatine is in your brain. And when brain creatine increases, brain fog often improves. There was also a systematic review of 6 randomized controlled trials showing creatine improved memory compared to placebo, people who didn't take it. This is important, especially in individuals who are aging or stressed, which I'm going to laugh, which is me, but everyone, that's important for you to know. And the mechanism is that increased brain creatine stores improve mitochondrial function. Just like Avanti was saying, your brain power plants, your charging systems work better. And then there's compelling mood research that depression is twice as high in women as men at baseline, and that risk increases during perimenopause. And there's preliminary studies to show that creatine can increase the efficacy of medications like SSRIs and decrease depression symptoms. Now, there was a note that there was increased mania and hypomania in those with bipolar depression. So I would just really caution that, I would recommend that you get medical supervision if you don't know what kind of depression you have. You don't want to make your symptoms worse. And I'm not saying creatine is a treatment for depression yet. What I'm saying is that there's promising research that this can be a really important add-on for those of us who are trying to optimize our mood. One more important piece was that creatine combined with resistance training in postmenopausal women showed improved muscle strength. And beyond even muscle health, bone health was improved, with evidence showing positive effects on bone turnover markers and bone mineral density. Now, important when combined with that training. I like to stress that because I'm not saying creatine alone will just, give you more lean muscle mass and better bone mineral density. You need to be doing the work with the creatine. So, this is emerging research that's specifically relevant to women like you in our audience. This isn't, all the bro science and just men talking about being in the gym, bulking up. It's really important that we understand how to optimize our health as well.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that we all are hearing about, a lot of women in perimenopause and midlife, right, is how creatine can really support our bone health. That's a big discussion point. And so I think that's so important. And again, your point that you have to do this with training, with actual weight, you need to do some low resistance weights or low level weights. That's really what's going to make the difference here.
Right.
So that's super important. You can't just take this and expect that things are going to change, magically. You need to do the work, like you said.
Right, exactly. And now here's where it gets really interesting, Avanti, because what most creatine conversations miss entirely is that the research really tells us what happens on average. It doesn't tell us what happens for your biology. So we know that creatine affects cellular hydration, but how you handle that varies. We know that it affects energy metabolism, but your metabolic patterns are unique. We know that it affects the nervous system, but your nervous system reactivity is different from the woman sitting next to you. And that's where Ayurveda and Western research meet.
Exactly. Because, some constitutions actually may need to take it at a certain time of the day versus other constitutions, right? So the timing really can be important based on your dosha. Generic advice ignores this completely and just says everyone should take it this way or at this dose.
Right.
And that's why a lot of women who try it may not feel the best that they actually could if they were taking this in the right way, right? For their dosha, their constitution. They feel off and then they just give up. But we know the research is there that it's really beneficial for women in midlife for their bone health, right? So I think this is an important conversation to really dive into and understand more specifically for your constitution and your dosha.
Right. And that's where your dosha specific prescription really comes in that episode. Because if you've taken our dosha data assessment, which you can do at mayurvasi.com, you have access to your episode this week. And your episode breaks this down. Will creatine help you? What dose? How do you take it? How do you optimize it? So that it's not just generic advice, it's guidance designed for your biology. And if you haven't taken the assessment, now is the time. So you can go to mayurvasi.com and it literally just takes 5 minutes, but it unlocks a completely different level of personalization.
And one important note, this is our last free week. Starting February 8th, dosha-specific guidance moves to paid subscribers only. So if you've been curious about what this personalized Ayurveda guidance actually looks and feels like, this is the week to really experience it. Listen to your dosha episodes, see what it's like, and see what it's like to get advice that's made specifically for your body and your constitution. And then you can decide if this is something that you want to do.
Right. And next week we'll have questions and transformation stories, women who've done this work, who have applied these protocols and shifted their energy. So you'll hear what worked, what didn't, what surprised them. and we'll answer your questions directly. That's a paid subscriber benefit that we're really excited about, to form community and really get into what you need to optimize your health.
And one thing also is that subscribers will be getting more than just the weekly prescription. Throughout the year, we're going to be surprising our community with bonus sessions with myself and me. You'll also get conversations with integrative experts that we really respect. And finally, you'll also get access to us on a weekly basis. We'll be showing up in the comments section for subscribers only, answering your questions, communicating with you. You'll really have a community that will really become really strong, where you have like-minded people who are really, really trying to do something to support their health. So if you haven't already, go to myarvasi.com and subscribe. There's a link in the show notes for you. Okay, friends, that's your weekly Health RX for this week. Until next week, be well. Thanks for listening to the weekly Health RX by Arvasi. Be sure to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen so you never miss your weekly prescription.
And make sure to take the Arvasi Dosha Data Assessment at myarvasi.com, linked in the show notes, so you can unlock your biology and get your own personalized weekly prescription.